Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as we start what has to be Ruben Amorim's biggest week of his Manchester United career. Some people might say that's a bit sensationalist, but actually we've got 1 week left before we're back in pre-season. PSR deadline day today, July the 1st tomorrow. Deals that needed to be done couple of weeks ago must be done this week. Lots and lots to get into. Also, we're going to be starting off with outgoing straight away. Rashford, is he now holding the club to ransom? Has he got them where he wants them? Onana, a massive setback from Saudi in relation to any possibility of us getting a new goalkeeper. Talking of Saudi, even Spanish reports are now talking about Ivan Toney to Manchester United. Would you take him? Obviously, we've got the latest on Mbeumo. German reports are linking us to Paulinho again. He wasn't involved for Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup last night. He is available. Man United are linked to him again as well. Also want to talk about a centre-back from Italy that we've been linked to as well, and what's going on with the striker situation, because we are now favourites to sign Calvert Lewin. So quite a few topics to get into on the show tonight. But I want to start off actually with Goldbridge for goalkeeper. G-Man says I don't want Ivan Toney. I'll tell you what, I'll set up a poll for that one. Let me just do that now. But I want to start off with this Rashford story. It's coming out from Sport in, well, basically it's a Barcelona outlet. And effectively what they're saying is that Marcus Rashford is holding Manchester United to ransom. The detail is like this, and I'll give you the main points. Rashford is considered one of the latter priorities for Barcelona this summer transfer window, but has been described as the icing on the cake of a dream attack. He is highly regarded by Hansi Flick, particularly for his versatility, and this could come in handy next season with possible injuries. They want to be better equipped if they lose Lewandowski like they did towards the end of last season. The 27-year-old is determined to sign for Barcelona and has made this clear to the club actively and passively. He's obviously been out in Spain in the last couple of weeks doing interviews with YouTubers, speaking about Thierry Henry being his best favourite player and talking about how he loves Barcelona. His brother has even travelled to the city to meet with the director of football, Deco. Of course, Rashford's brother is his agent. So apparently, according to this article, he's actually gone out there and spoken to Deco. They've made it clear in those talks with Barcelona that Rashford will push Manchester United to accept a loan deal. He'll also lower his salary to a point where Barcelona can afford him, and he intends to make himself a bargain in this transfer window. Because he wants Barcelona, he will refuse any other club, whether it be Villa or Saudi or everything else. Barcelona have said to Rashford that they will have to wait until late in the summer to really move for him. Their focus is currently on Garcia, the goalkeeper, and Williams, Nico Williams, of course. Rashford is aware of this and is ready to reject every offer between now and later on in the window as he awaits Barcelona to come and get him probably towards the end of August. I mean, that is a shockingly bad update for Manchester United, isn't it, really? I mean, effectively, what are we going to do with him then? So he's coming on the tour. He's turning up for pre-season next week. This is why we... Look, if there's anything in that article that's true, and I would suspect that there is, then how does this help Manchester United? At what point is Marcus Rashford helping Manchester United and not just actually helping Barcelona and himself? Like, what is the point in him being in training? What is the point in him going on tour? What is the point of this? Like, he doesn't like Amorim. Amorim doesn't like him. It's just... But we predicted this weeks ago. Barcelona have got other priorities. He won't go anywhere else. They're going to push United to the end of the window for a loan deal. It's exactly why I said last week, United should go to Barcelona and say, look, do you want to do this loan deal now? Because doing it in late August doesn't help us at all. Do you want to do... Let's just do the loan deal now. Because it's clearly going to happen at the end of the window. And this is the problem with Manchester United. We cannot and will not resolve this issue of players having the power over the club. How can a player sit there and go, Yeah, I'm not. I don't really want to be here. I don't like the manager, and I know he doesn't like me. And yeah, I've got absolutely no intention of being part of your future. But I will be turning up for Carrington. Book me a flight. Book me a place on the plane. Sort my hotel out. I will do all that because there's loads of people over there that like me, and it's good for the brand. And Barcelona will be signing me probably in the last week of August. But yeah, you can get me involved in the first few games. I want some game time in the pre-season as well. Yeah, we'll play that game. But I want to go Barcelona at the end of the window. It's incredible. It's incredible. But it's not the only one. Garnacho could do the same. Sancho could do the same. We are still in the grip of player power, aren't we? And that to me is just, I'm not even shocked by that because we were talking about it 2 weeks ago. He only wants Barcelona. And Barcelona, like Real Madrid, can have this grip on players, but it's not going to be helping. It's not going to help us at all. I wouldn't take him on pre-season. I don't see the point. I wouldn't take him on pre-season. Why take him on pre-season and give him the benefit of having a pre-season? I wouldn't take him at all. But you know, United will because we're so weak. I mean, look, Garnacho was walking around in a Villa shirt a week ago. The club have done absolutely nothing. They've not even fined him a week's wages. They've just done nothing because we're weak, and that's worth mentioning as well. We're a weak football club that is still run by player power, clearly. Talking of which, on the goalkeeping situation, Anana, a bit of a setback here. So Neom SC, which is a Saudi club, I think they've just been promoted or they're a new team or whatever. They have been linked to Andre Onana quite extensively for the last 2 or 3 months. Well, not going to happen. They've just signed Nice's goalkeeper, who's 25. So that Saudi escape for Onana is now off the cards. They're signing a Nice goalkeeper who's 25 years of age. I mean, the hilarity of this is who owns Nice. You know, who owns Nice? Our bloody partial owner. So, you know, yeah. I don't even know what Ineos own Nice, by the way, if you don't know that. So yeah, I mean the goalkeeper situation is not looking great at the moment, is it? And I was thinking about it this morning. I don't plan. There's so much to go through this morning. I don't plan to dwell on this too much because it is a news show, of course. But with the goalkeeper situation, I feel like what's happening is we've got so much to think about at the moment. Like that Rashford thing's something. Garnacho, Sancho, the striker situation, and Mbeumo. There's so many topics. Really, you'd just like to be talking about one. But the goalkeeper situation, I was thinking about it last night. For 2 years, he has been a liability. And we're going to use him again. And that's all I'm going to say. He has been a factual liability for 2 years, and we're going to use him again. And the last time I checked, the goalkeeping position is actually really important, and we're happy to go into this season with him in goal again. I don't understand United fans on your replies on X saying we have till August. What are you worrying about when other clubs are making deals quickly, says Rajaf. Mate, I don't really care about that. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. That's why I love doing this. To the people who are saying we've got till the end of August, that is absolutely fine. My opinion on that is I respect that the transfer window is open till the end of August, and I respect that there are people out there saying, the window only just starts now. My opinion is this. 1, we've missed a month of this transfer window already, and it's only a 3-month window. So we've lost a third of it. You can buy players in June. We have factually lost a third of this transfer window, selling nobody and only bringing Cunha in. Secondly, pre-season happens in July, not in August. The season starts in August. So if we are thinking about buying players in August again, then you can look at the last decade and the failure at this football club on why you overpay in August and why it means you're unprepared for the season. So if people still want to start making excuses about the real window starts on July the 1st and we can still sign people in August, some of us are more switched on than that. Some of us realise that you need to use the first month of the transfer window effectively, and you need to have your players in and ready for pre-season. So if you want to talk about, oh, everything's fine, no, not for me. But I respect those who think it is. Patrick Lynch says, only positive. That's why this week's big, because this is the week where we could start to turn it around if we have been waiting till July the 1st. And that is a big if. Some people are literally betting the house on the hope that we are tactically waiting to July the 1st to just absolutely hit this transfer window? Well, we'll find out this week. Because if we have waited till July the 1st because of PSR and FFP, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out on Wednesday. We'll find out on Thursday. Because surely, if we've got money to spend, but we can't spend it till July the 1st, we'll hit July the 1st tomorrow like a bloody freight train. I don't think we will. But that we'll find out this week. That's why it's such a big week. Barada does a PR interview every 6 months claiming how good Ineos are, but it never really shows with the transfer strategy, says Sanil. Patrick Lynch is in the house. He says the only positive that comes from the Rashford situation is that it's very clear that there is a toxic element within the squad and the club has zero power against it. Shows what so many previous managers were up against, says Patrick. Well, look, I would love to know, just speaking, Rashford willing to help Barca but not United, says Scott. Elliot, welcome to the Members Club. I would love to know, because I think Player FC can be quite abusive, toxic and vile at times. I would love to say to them, and I'm sure many of us would as well, if you are Player FC for Garnacho, Sancho, Rashford, whoever, explain this one to me. What justification can you give as a Man United fan who is a Rashford Player FC fan for what he is doing? Basically, holding us to ransom, waiting to the end of the window to get a cheap loan deal to Barcelona. Not even a sale. So we pay his wages for 2 months. He comes on pre-season and messes that up. He goes at the end of the window to Barcelona on loan. At what point is that putting what's best for Man United first? And at what point is it not being selfish and putting his interests and Barcelona's first? That's what I would love to know, because there's people who defend these players. I would love to know how that benefits Manchester United in any way, shape or form, and how that can be about what he said in his interview in January. I love this football club and I'll never do anything to ruin that. 6 months later, you're literally going to sit on your arse till the end of August to get a Barcelona bargain. Read his interview from January. I mean, apparently this won't happen. Exactly what's happening wouldn't happen. He said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like, I'm not parting ways with this club in a bad way, you know, etc., etc. Well, we'll see about that. Why can't he be left at Carrington training on his own? Because we won't do that, Dan. We're too weak. Don't take him on tour, says Christian. Okay. Let me talk to you about Mbeumo. We've got lots of this to get into this morning. 50-50 on Ivan Toney as well in the chat. We'll talk about that next. Cap or Die says, people saying Toney is a gamble. What the hell is Rasmus? Well, there's an interesting twist on Toney, which I'll talk about in a moment. But on Mbeumo, you know what? I feel like starting. He doesn't need the money, but I feel like doing a GoFundMe for Fabrizio Romano. Send him on holiday for a couple of weeks without a phone. He'd probably be crying about it. Give me my phone. I love my phone. Give me my phone. But no, I watch every update he does about Romano. I mean, like I'm watching a clip of him now. You can see it in his eyes saying, "Help me, help me." The poor guy has to do an update on Mbeumo every day, sometimes 3 times a day, for 30 days, saying basically the same thing. So this was his update last night from Fabrizio. The contacts continue, even today, between United and Brentford. Constant contact between the two clubs to reach an agreement. There is still no here we go, but Man United keep working on that. Man United keep advancing. Man United keep their optimism to make the deal happen. Man United are going very strong for Mbeumo, and now the feeling is quite positive on that one. Man United will be pushing and pushing again to get it over the line. The here we go is still a strong possibility for Mbeumo as a new Man United player. You thought I was taking a piss there then, didn't you? You thought I was just doing sentence after sentence of the same thing. That's literally his 2 paragraphs from last night. That got so repetitive of saying the same thing, you could have thought I was having a laugh. But he literally did say that. No, here we go, but still advancing. They keep the optimism. The deal can happen. They're going very strong. The feeling is positive. They'll keep pushing and pushing to get it over the line. The here we go is a possibility, a strong possibility. Mbeumo is not a Man United player, right? Mbeumo will be a Man United player when we get the here we go. We could get it today. We could get it next week. I don't know when we're going to get it. That's the real update. Brentford have got us by the balls and can twist it however they want. I would say there is a very familiar theme here in this summer transfer window. From Liam Delap to Garnacho. From Mbeumo to Rashford. From Sancho to Onana. What is the common theme there? We're not in control. Brentford tell us the price. Onana tells us he's staying. Rashford says I'm going at the end of the window. Garnacho says I'll go when I want. Sancho says I'll go when I want as well. And Delap said I will come, but actually I'm going to go to Chelsea because they've got Champions League. We've got no control in any of these things. That is a concern. That is not like saying we're not going to sign players. That is not saying we can't have a good season, but we are not in control of anything. And that, if I was Sir Jim Radcliffe, I'd be looking at this going, I've made all these changes, I've sacked all these people, I've made all these statements, I've recruited all this best in class. And the scary thing is, we're still operating in the window the same way we were 5 years ago. We are being dictated to by sales, who won't go. And we are being dictated to by lesser clubs on purchases. We are so out of control here. It's closer than close, says Jack. Heard that before. He will join. He will join Mbeumo, 100%. But when? Who knows? He would join them now if it was down to him, says Robert McCormack. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But it doesn't change the fact, Robert, that he's in control of the situation, isn't it? Man United are just sat there waiting, which is just... you're absolutely correct. Rashford would go to Barcelona today, and he would sit there and say, I want to go to Barcelona and I'm going to wait for it. But he did it in January as well. That didn't help us. He just sat there all January waiting, and then Barcelona didn't want him, so he went to Villa. He's now going to sit waiting for 2 months for Barcelona again. I repeat the question, how does this benefit Manchester United? How is this putting Man United first? It's not. Giving stupid wages holding us back. That's the root of player power, says D1. Syed says, I've seen Nice's goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. I've been waiting for a long time for them to turn on their brain, but they don't seem to want to. Rest up, build up, says Toney is a gamble. Let's talk about Ivan Toney very quickly because I have got a few other bits to go through. So I put a little post out in the live chat. Would you take Ivan Toney at Man United? Yes, 49% and no, 51%. So at this point, I'd take Toney the Tiger, says William. Look, the reality is he is an upgrade on Xerxes and Rasmus because he's experienced and he's a proven goal scorer in the penalty box. He ticks 2 boxes there. He is an upgrade because he's experienced and he's done it in this league and he's a goal scorer. So you'd be foolish if somebody said, do you want Toney or nothing? You'd have to say yes. I say no because I want something more suitable. Ivan Toney at 27 from Saudi still represents the risks I saw last year in the sense that he is a gamble. And that's not a pun. If you know, you know. I just think that I don't know that he's the right person to come into Manchester United. And let's not forget, no other Premier League club went anywhere near him. Of course, that was because of wage demands. But, of course, I would take him if there was nothing else. He's 29, in fact, somebody just said. I'd still take him. If it was Toney or Vlahovic, I'd take Toney. 100%. So you can give me options who I would take. It's not just I'd take him over nothing. I'd take him over Mitrovic. I would take him. I wouldn't take him over Osman. I wouldn't take him over Gyökeres. Absolutely not. I probably wouldn't take him over Mateta, to be honest with you. Maybe I would. But this is coming in from Spain. Yesterday it was coming in from The Sun. The cold, harsh facts about Ivan Toney is he did an interview, Ivan Toney. He did an interview the other week saying, I'm back in the England squad because if you score goals anywhere, you should be playing for your national team. So he is very happy that he can score goals where he is and still go to the World Cup with England. He's also on about 400 grand a week. So there is sometimes this arrogance that because players have gone to Saudi, they must be begging to come back and take a wage cut and play for Man United. And the reality is he isn't begging to come back and play for Man United. If Man United paid whoever he plays for in Saudi 40 million quid and was willing to give him 500 grand a week because he'll be getting all that tax free, he might consider it. But he's not going to come to Manchester United when he's on 400 grand a week tax-free. And the club that have got him in Saudi are not going to let us have him on a free transfer. I mean, this is the thing that makes me laugh. You've got a story in Gazzetta dello Sport this morning talking about Ndika again, who I think's at Roma. I remember him at Frankfurt. Very good player, left-footed centre-back, and was worth a look at when he was at Frankfurt. I think he's at Roma now, and we've been linked to him again. But they want like 30 to 40 million pounds for him. We can't even replace our goalkeeper. We haven't even got a striker lined up yet. We can't buy a midfielder and he wants a midfielder. We're not buying a centre-back. So sometimes you read stories and you go, yeah, in an ideal world, we might be looking to do that. We might be looking to do that. But we're all intelligent enough to realise that whilst we know we should be making signings, there are certain deals we're just not going to do. And it makes me laugh. As I said, Toney, it's almost like some people think the Saudi club he plays for is going to go, oh, thank you very much. You know, we've spent so much money on him in the last 12 months, but we're really happy for you to take him on a free. And then Toney's going to go, oh, God, you know what? I'm earning 400 grand a week tax-free here, but I'd love to walk away from this contract when I've got years left on it to come and play for you for 150 grand a week, where I lose half of that for tax. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Absolutely not. And I think that we have to be very, wary of that. But hypothetically, of course, I think he would be an upgrade on what we've got. Morning Mark says Red Devil Germany. I think there is a possibility Rashford and Garnacho will stay at Carrington training on their own. We are weak, but Amorim isn't. I can't imagine he will demand that Rashford. I can imagine he will demand that Rashford stay at home. I personally would love to see Manchester United draw a line in the sand and say Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, you're not part of my plans. You can stay back at Carrington. You can use the facilities there, crack on. But we know we're a weak football club. And as much as I agree with you that Amorim would not want them there, I personally think that we know what's going to happen. Because what United will do is they'll go, there's a lot of Garnacho fans and there's a lot of Rashford fans worldwide. And if we take them to the US, think of the shirt sales. Think of the ticket sales. Think of when we turn up to places and the crowds that will be there because they're Player FC. We saw it in Asia. Garnacho had basically everybody knew that Asia tour was the week after the Europa League final. Garnacho had done the interview. Thursday morning, we literally said he's 100% leaving. Thursday lunchtime, Romano said the same. Saturday, the leaks came out that Amorim had told him in front of all the players that he was finished and good luck finding a football club. Monday, we're in Asia. Thousands of people are turning up chanting his name wearing Garnacho shirts. So this is what we are. We're a business, not a football club. And I agree with you. Ruben Amorim probably would say, I don't want Rashford on tour. I don't want Garnacho on tour. It makes me look an idiot because they have the power. But I guarantee the people above him, the Baradas, etc., will be saying, Amorim, we will get rid of them. Don't worry about that. We're on your side. But if we do take them on the tour, think of the millions we can make in branding. And that's what we will do. We've sold our soul a long time ago for morals. Morals are gone. We've sold it. We've sold the soul. And they won't not take them. They won't. I mean, look, Garnacho was wearing a bloody Villa shirt a week ago and we've done nothing about it. And don't say we've done something behind the scenes because we haven't. Garnacho's still on holiday and nobody's contacted him at all from the club. Jack Fraser says, remember last summer, recurring joke was you saying closer than close has come to pass. Bunch of morons at the club. I'd take Ramos from PSG, says Chunk, with Garnacho, Rashford or Sancho going the other way. Whilst not in dreamland, we'll sign Mateta last minute. I'd take Mateta over Ramos. I do think there's a good player in Ramos, but he really hasn't shown it at PSG, has he? Pete's watching at 2:30 a.m. in America. Thank you very much, wherever you're watching from, everybody. Appreciate that. Maresca did it last season, says Slazy, and the media called him strong. When United does something similar, we're a toxic club who ruins players, says Lazy. I think you're talking about leaving players out for tours, aren't you? Cogney says, is there any news about Richard Rios to United? Well, let's talk about the midfield for a moment, because there are some reports coming out from Germany this morning. Obviously, Bayern Munich are in the... I mean, God, the money people are making from that crap Club World Cup is terrible. I keep seeing Ben Jacobs' tweets about how Chelsea have made £40 million already from that Club World Cup. It's disgusting, isn't it? I mean, nobody is interested in it. Nobody is watching it. And there's just this slush fund between FIFA and God knows where they're getting it from for a tournament nobody wants to watch, but people are making ridiculous money. Just everything that's wrong with football, in my opinion. But Bayern Munich played last night. They beat Flamengo. Paulinho didn't play again. So German reports this morning are basically saying that as much as it's admirable that Paulinho wants to stay and fight for his place, he's just not part of company's plans at Bayern. And Bayern would happily take 30 million euros for him today. Man United have been linked to him again. I think much the same as what we were talking about, the story about Ndika there or Ivan Toney. You know, it's great, hypothetically, that there is a midfielder that might be an option that we could discuss and go, do we agree with United going for this deal or not? The big problem you've got is, where does the money come from? We don't have it. And the question about Richard Rios, looked really good when I watched him on Saturday. Obviously, some people know more about him than me, but sometimes you only need to watch a player for 90 minutes properly and you see a lot of things in them that you'd go, I'd take a look at him again. He's available for 20 million. Paulinho is available for 24 million. They're both, in my opinion, an upgrade on what we need in our midfield. But we can't afford either of them. We just can't afford it, right? The way United will say it, and I have to say I agree with this. For once, I actually agree with Man United on this one. If Amorim says I want Paulinho or I want Richard Rios or I want Edison or whoever else we've been linked to in the last few days or whatever, if I'm Jason Wilcox or Omer Barada or Sir Jim Radcliffe or Joel Glazer, then I agree with this. I would say, we can't bring a midfielder in for you, even though you deserve one. We can't give you one because you play with two midfielders. You've kept Bruno. Casemiro's staying. You're keeping Mainu. Agate's staying. And Collier is still here. You've got 5 midfielders, mate. And we can't bring another one in. We're not playing in Europe. If you're Chelsea, you can have 7 or 8 midfielders because you're playing so many games. You're not in Europe. You've only got 38 Premier League games. You might get knocked out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round, and you might get knocked out of the Coca-Cola Cup or whatever it's called. You might only play 40 games this season, and you want 6 midfielders for 2 positions. Not going to happen. I mean, we are literally paying on our midfield at the moment. We are paying 300 grand a week for Casemiro, 300 grand a week for Bruno. So that's £600,000 a week. Mainu's going to be on about 150 grand a week. So let's say that's 750. Agate is probably on 150 as well. So let's take that up to 900. So just under £1 million a week we're paying on our midfield. So let's say, let's be reserved and say £45 million a year in wages. And he wants another midfielder. You can't do it. I look, people think, oh, it's just moan. It's realism. Where you could say is, well, it's not Amorim's fault. He should be given a midfielder because it's not his fault that Casemiro won't go. But he could have said sell Mainu. He could have said sell Bruno. And he said keep both players, which is his right. So you can't have your cake and eat it. Like, he can't have a midfielder at the moment. We can't sell Casemiro. Look, maybe if Collier goes, it might give a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah, forget Paulinho, forget Richard Rios. We're not going to be able to do it unless we drastically change our plans and go, we're not buying a striker anymore. We're keeping Garnacho or something. I don't know. Jack Fraser says it's the end of the financial year today. Tomorrow will show those believing end of year window, says Jack. As I said, I think this is a huge week for Amorim. just to give you the dates, it's an important week. We've been thinking about this for weeks, many of us. This is a really, really important week. Don't let the fatigue of the Mbeumo deal or this transfer window and our failures to sell not make you wake up and realise how big this week is. It's basically, everybody talks about this. Villa are quiet, Newcastle are quiet, Tottenham are quiet. There's this belief that a lot of clubs are waiting for tomorrow morning when it hits July the 1st and this financial fair play PSR deadline passes. So the football financial year runs from July the 1st to June the 30th every year. It's like New Year's Eve today. Obviously, we have a new year on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. The new football year starts tomorrow morning. July the 1st is New Year's Day in the sense that you reset your financial year. What does that mean? Basically means that there'll be a lot of clubs that maybe need to try and sell people today. There'll be a lot of clubs that are just trying to get to today to survive. You know, they're counting what they're spending on carrots and all this lot. You know, have we made it? Tomorrow, reset. Your limits reset themselves again. So you can effectively tomorrow go out and start buying some players. So it's a huge week in that sense, because if you follow that theory, and I'm not convinced by this theory, there are some people out there that think United are suddenly going to start chucking money here, there and everywhere. I don't necessarily think we will, but I think some clubs will be operating like that, definitely. I certainly think the clubs that have been quieter in June, some of them will start being a lot busier this week. So it's a huge week for Amorim because we need that to happen. We haven't sold anybody, we haven't bought anybody. The hope is that maybe it's been quiet with Garnacho because anybody that's going to buy him can't do it until the new football financial year. So your fingers are crossed about that. Maybe even with an Arna, people are waiting for that. I don't know. I doubt it. And obviously, more importantly, you hope that we're suddenly going to start buying players. Maybe we couldn't move for a striker because of this. What I would say, though, is, okay, if this mythical belief that we're suddenly going to start throwing money around because it's July the 1st is true, it never stopped us being in talks with players before. You could have started being in talks with a striker last week and timed it to be official bid July the 1st. So I'm not convinced that we're suddenly going to get that avalanche of signings, but hopefully it is going to happen. And what I will say is it's a huge week for Amorim because not only is it the opening of the new financial year tomorrow morning, a week today they're back for pre-season. So not only is it about transfers in and out, it's also this massive thing, huge thing, and it's called pre-season. I've used it so many times since Christmas. So many other people have as well. Amorim needs a pre-season. All those bad results, all those games where we've been beaten, it felt like it was every week from sort of February till the end of the season that we were getting turned over by teams at Old Trafford as well. Wolves, etc., beating us at Old Trafford. And the one thing we were always sort of holding on to, those of us who were sticking up for Amorim, was he needs his own players and he needs a pre-season. And those two things are absolutely correct. He needs his own players and he needs a pre-season. The scary thing is the pre-season starts in a week and he's only got Cunha. So those two things have to still be very, 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 very pertinent things that we need to discuss. Patrick Lynch says, where I think the financial new year affects United is in contract talks. Mainu's contract will probably be finalised, says Patrick. Yeah, well, look, people have mentioned Leon, Diego Leon coming in. If he's going to get announced tomorrow, is that because we're buying him in the next financial year? How many things that we already know are going to happen are actually coming out of next year's budget? Is Cunha's first payment coming out of next year's budget? Is Mbeumo's clearly coming out of next year now? Is Diego Leon's coming out of that? Mainu's contract coming out of that? Is the payments we owe on people like Rasmus, Onana and Mount coming out of that? Like that could get swallowed up. I think some people think we've got 200 million to spend. We might have a lot of things already out there. So, what about Garnacho to Newcastle? I saw Beth tweet this morning. I mean, look, Garnacho's more of a left winger than a right winger, so he doesn't work that well. But They're missing out on so many targets, Newcastle. I mean, I don't know whether Garnacho there would be suitable or not, but I'm hoping there's. Look, I think somebody said a minute ago, does Villa need to sell Martinez then, says Mikel? Well, they've only got today to do it, if they need to do it for PSR reasons. Somebody said a minute ago, if it's a big week, what's the priorities? And I think that you can rank things for United at the moment. And Mbeumo in has to be the number one priority. Garnacho out has to be the number one selling priority. I mean, that's very obvious to anybody because Garnacho's the only player that we're going to make any money on. And it's pitiful, by the way, that we can't make money on Marcus Rashford. I mean, he is a pure profit player that we can't sell. And that's not his fault. Well, it is partly his fault, but how is it that Man United can't get anybody to give us any money for Marcus Rashford? I mean, it is embarrassing. And there is one reason for it. His wage. His wage and contract make him unbuyable for anybody. So Garnacho is the player that we need to sell because he's the one that we can get pure profit for. But we wouldn't, you know what? In fairness, if we'd ever given Garnacho a contract on 250 grand a week, we wouldn't be able to sell him either. I can't remember where I saw this last week. It was definitely in the live chat, and I wish I knew the name of it, and they were absolutely spot on. Because we were talking about this, and we were basically saying Garnacho's the player we need to sell because it'll be 30, 40, 50 million pounds of pure profit. And somebody in the chat said, but the only difference between Garnacho and Rashford is the wage. People will buy Garnacho because his wage is palatable. They won't buy Rashford because it's not. If Rashford was on 70 grand a week and Garnacho was on 300 grand a week, we wouldn't be able to sell Garnacho and we'd be getting 40 million for Rashford. And it's a brilliant point because that's the issue. It's not Rashford or Garnacho. Yeah, okay, you might not like Rashford, you might not like Garnacho, but other clubs will look at them and go, there's talent there, we could use them on the wing. We can't sell Rashford because of the stupid contract we've given him. No one will pay that. We can sell Garnacho because his wage is not that big and people will pay that. Swap it round and the same situation happens. So let's not forget, United have contributed to this issue. We should be getting money for Rashford and money for Garnacho, and we can't get money for Rashford because we put him on a stupid contract. And that's down to the football club. We've got to stop handing out stupid contracts. Casemiro, can't get rid of him, stupid contract. Onana, can't get rid of him, stupid contract. He's on a lot of money for a goalkeeper, 150 grand a week. Can you wish me happy birthday, says DJ. I'll sing it for you. No, I won't really. Happy birthday, mate. Hope you have a fantastic day. So, yeah, spoken about Palhinha. We've spoken about that. I want to come back to this as well. Striker situation. We'll do that next. This is why I agree with Chelsea's wage cap, says Robert McCormack. Honestly, Robert, I think we are starting to do something with the wage cap. When you look at our wages post, it's probably one of the only areas where Ineos have actually started to make a bit of sense. I think Cunha's on 200 grand a week, which is about right. I think Mbeumo's not going to be on any more than that, which is about right. The only contract they've handed out I don't agree with was the Bruno 300 grand a week. But in a way you can understand why he wanted it. But yeah, I mean, some of the deals that we handed out. I mean, look at David De Gea. I love David De Gea, but we never should have been playing a goalkeeper 350 grand a week. And you know, that's what I mean. It's not always with players that are flops. With David De Gea, 350 grand a week was just madness, an absolute madness. So, you know, you've got to acknowledge that we've just been terrible with good players and bad players in relation to how we do it. Mainu new kit, here we go, says John. I tell you what, I'm very interested to see what we give Mainu as a wage, because in a way, I mean, look, I'm very happy that we're going to keep him, but I remember talking about 100 grand a week and people were saying no. I think it's 150. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plans out. Just a bit of a new upgrade, a bit of an update on the striker situation here. It's coming in from Christian Falk. Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea are interested in Ekitike. Liverpool could make a move once they've sold Darwin Nunez. Man United are the only club to have spoken to Eintracht Frankfurt about Ekitike. There have been no negotiations or even an offer as things currently stand. The interesting thing about the striker is that it's got nothing to do with United directly, but everything to do with us indirectly. I think in relation to this week, I would also be keeping an eye on what Arsenal do, because they're back in pre-season next week as well, and their most important signing is a striker. And whilst they have been buying other players, and they'll be announcing Zubimendi tomorrow, by the way, there'll be a few announcements tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal move on the striker this week, and if they move on the striker, then that will have a direct impact on us. Okay, in a dream world, it'll be Gyökeres, but it might not be. It might end that possibility. So hopefully it's going to be a big week for Arsenal and the striker situation as well, because God, we need to start doing something about that one. We are I did say it at the start of the video, so I feel I must repeat it. We are the bookies' favourites to sign Calvert Lewin with Newcastle, by the way. You can get 6-1 with Robert McCormack likes a little tip, likes a little dabble. Would you fancy a tenner on that, Robert? 50 quid if he signs. 6-1. We're joint favourites to sign Calvert Lewin with Newcastle. I don't think we'll sign him. I really don't. I think it would be a waste of time to put a bet on that. As we said, Man United have had so many fingers burnt about signing players with injury records. I think they would be in a absolute meltdown if I mean, there's got to be somebody intelligent in that football club saying no, is what I'm saying. He's not good enough, and he's not fit enough. So yeah. Talking about injuries, actually, I was reading the comments last night, and someone was talking about Luke Shaw, saying he can guarantee he'll get injured in pre-season. He's already injured. He was injured after the final. He didn't go on the tour. Or if he went on the tour, he didn't play. He's actually injured. Like, he officially was injured after the Europa League final. So Luke Shaw getting injured in pre-season, will do well to see if he's actually fit for pre-season. He definitely was injured after the Europa League final. So that injury that we knew was coming did happen straight after that final. If we start talks today, he could sign by March, says Robert McCormack. Thank you very much, Robert. Good to see you in a banter mood this morning. Calvert, yes, as a backup after we sign Mateta, but not as a starter. I wouldn't take him as a backup, mate. God, it makes you want to throw up, Dale. Adam says, I'd literally vomit if we signed him. Alan Casey says, Ekitike versus Vlahovic versus Toney versus Osman versus Gyökeres versus Mason versus Xerxes versus Isaac versus Obi versus Rashford. Who wins? Depends what they're doing. If we're talking about the best striker there, it's Gyökeres or Osman for me. What are the chances that we end up with Rashford playing up front for Man United after a pre-season, Pirlo pre-season? Never say never with this football club, but I think that if that did happen, it would have a sell-by date on it before it all came crashing down again. And also, I think Ruben Amorim may as well just quit, because he'd look the biggest hypocrite if he did what he did in January and then took him back because there's no money. I'd just quit. I'd say, look, I started a job and now you're telling me there's no money and I need to bring him back. So he may as well walk. It just undermines him massively. Vimto, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for tuning in. Mad Boy says, hope you're good, mate. I think Gyökeres will be easy. We just need to sit back, let Arsenal do all the negotiating for us, and hopefully they'll get Sesko and we just finish Gyökeres. Love for the channel, says Mad. The only thing I would add about Gyökeres is it's not impossible that a PSG or someone like that swoops in at the last minute. It's not impossible. Malacia will be back. Another loan for him, says Ross McRae Magician. As long as he's not back in our team, I don't really care. I mean, God, he was fucking rubbish, wasn't he? Can't remember watching him when he came back, and it was like the amount of times he refused to cross the ball was incredible. But then, to be fair, he was playing Champions League football with PSV. If he came back, would have to sack the coach, says John. Loving the show, says Vimto. Thanks very much, pal. Hope you're doing good. Could Liverpool buy Gyökeres? I mean, never say never, but I don't think he fits the profile of what they're looking for. Jonathan David, Travers says, has got an agreement with an Italian club. Yeah, I think there's a few deals that will just get announced tomorrow. So Jonathan David, I think, will be signing with an Italian club tomorrow. Some of them just have to wait, don't they, until their a lot of contracts end today as well. Officially, Lindelof, Eriksson, yeah. Okay, I will leave it there. Thank you, everybody. Really enjoyed the show this morning. We are back again at 2 o'clock. Robert says Jonathan David, Juventus. There you go. You heard it there first. I know he was linked with Napoli, but apparently Juventus is the one. So we'll wait and see about that one. Can we not sell Onana to Nice? Think he would be mint in a Farmers League, says Andy Weatherall. Well, look, if I was... This is why I sort of laughed about it. If the Nice goalkeeper is going to Saudi and Ineos own Nice... just buy Onana and stick him in goal there. But Nice can't afford 140 grand a week. Nobody can. 140 grand a week for a goalkeeper is a ridiculous wage. I think it makes him one of the best paid goalkeepers in the world, which wouldn't surprise me at United. But again, that would not be an Ineos wage, would it? That would be a Glazer wage because they weren't there then. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. We'll speak to you in a bit. Hopefully we're going to get some breaking news today, tomorrow, the day after and every other day. But the week starts. It's a big week. You can't deny it. PSR starts, ends today. New Year tomorrow. Transfer training, pre-season training a week today. We've got to get moving. Surely when United walk in the office this morning, they're embarrassed by what Chelsea have done with Pedro and they say, look, let's get this Mbeumo deal done. Fingers crossed. Yeah, definitely. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. I'll speak to you soon.